Now, in spring 2001, Karen England and Rebecca Knight were scraping a living, busking alongside the jugglers and mime artists in Covent Garden. 13 months later, they are the OperaBabes, and their debut album, Beyond Imagination, has shot to the top of the classical charts and is even rising up the pop chart. And it does contain two of the most familiar melodies of the moment. For BA, properly known as the Leaves Flower Duet from Lakme, and of course the Puccini Un Bel Dì from Madame Butterfly is the theme tune of the 2002 World Cup. Rebecca, is there a certain irony in a song about an Eastern woman being badly treated by a Western male being the theme for the football?
What can I say? You've been to Bangkok, I take it. I don't know. God, dodgy, isn't it?
All right, sorry to throw that one at you right at the beginning, but I mean, opera is often used for these kind of events. Kira Chikano has done it in the past, Pavarotti's done it in the past. Why do you suppose, Karen, it serves so well for the grandiose sporting event?
Well, I think we kind of blame Pavarotti for it, really, but I think it's something to do with, the kind of whole passion, opera, take it really seriously, and it's very passionate. I think it's the whole thing, with sporting events that everybody wants to win, they want to achieve, and I think it's all mixed up with the passion, the pride of all of that.
It evokes emotion, doesn't it?
That's it.
Makes you want to get up and take part in some way.
You're both classically trained, and I hesitate to accuse you of dumbing down a serious medium.
That's the word.
Feel free.
I know it's been said before, but I do wonder if it slightly sticks in your throat that this kind of treatment sells like hot cakes, whereas a record of a whole opera hardly sells at all.
I think that is a tricky one, really. It would be lovely if more people did appreciate opera in its purest form, but I think the fact that it appears to be quite inaccessible to, the general public, and that there is a very elitist kind of corner that protects it in some way, is a great shame, and perhaps that's something to do with why Karen and I are so interested in perhaps revealing to people that normal people can appreciate classical music. That was what the busking was all about.
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, having been in theatre for a long time, we can see both sides of the story, really. But I think the thing that really made us really think about this was going on a schools tour for 2 weeks. We went to 20 schools in 2 weeks, and not one child had any opera played to them in the school before. They've got these terribly stereotypical images of opera singers being huge and fat and old. They all think it's too expensive. They all think it's boring. They can't understand it.
I think you have to go in twin set and pearls. There's all these criteria before you can actually enjoy the music.
And I guess, we came away from that thinking, right, well, we can really do some good here, because we went and sang a straight piece of opera to them. Then we sang them something that was operatic but a little bit more innovative, that we'd kind of added lyrics to or something like that. And they just loved it. But what was the most interesting thing was that they actually loved the straight stuff as much as they loved the crossover stuff as well. So I just really, came away from that thinking, well, if what we're doing is going to make opera more accessible and make people go out, hopefully, and listen to more opera, then I feel that we are doing some good.
Your mum, Rebecca, is a very well-known and very respected opera singer, Gillian Knight. How does she regard the kind of work that you're doing?
She's all for it, really. I mean, she would hate us just to stick some mindless beat behind a beautiful piece of music and ruin it. But I think she understands that we want to make beautiful music, and that's kind of what the album's all about, and that's why it's taken us so long to make it, because we've stuck very rigidly to what we feel is kind of within the bounds of our own integrity and what isn't. And she's behind us all the way, as she was with the busking, though, I must say.
Yeah, and she's really good at kind of, she makes sure that we're singing everything well, and making sure the languages are really good, and so that's really important, I think, for all of us, isn't it?
Right. Well, we're going to play a little bit of Dvorak, where you have done something rather different, but it's from the New World. Let's hear it and then we'll talk about it. Now, apart from the words, what else did you do to it? I think it was your husband who did some of the arrangement.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah. Basically, it was a very familiar tune, so I think what we've tried to do all the way through is to work with pieces which people will already have some inkling about, apart from perhaps one or two of them. And the idea was to make it ours, to make it different, to make it now, but not to spoil it. And I think the tune we've been very faithful to the tune, but the arrangement has got kind of like, for example, sort of in the sort of bass line, it's not traditional at all, but perhaps only people that knew the original would know that. So you can look at it on many different levels, you know, it works very easy on the ear if you just hear it for the first time, or if you kind of know it from the Hovis ad, or if you know music pretty well and you think, actually, God, that's really clever the way that's been changed there, and I can recognise all that. So it was the first piece that we recorded. It's the first time we'd had the live orchestra with us and everything. It was a wonderful piece for us to do.
Now, everybody watching this album, Rise and Rise, is going to be thinking that the pair of you are absolutely rolling in money.
They wouldn't be wrong.
And that's not the case, is it?
Tell them to come round and see where we live.
Yes, and I mean the thing is, there obviously again going back to stereotypes, people really do think that you signed a record deal, therefore you're absolutely rolling in it. You bought your first Ferrari and you've got a mansion, and isn't your life so wonderful? And you know, it's not quite like that. I mean, what you're given in advance that you have to live on and you have to pay your recording costs out of, and actually we're kind of almost run out now, but you have to eke the money out,
and
you
have
to
sell
pay
1.5 million copies before you
something like that, before we pay back the rest.
But we have to pay it all back before we make a penny. So in 2 years, we might make our first 50p each on the CD. But we're quite excited about that moment.
We will be.
Celebrate.
You're going to sing now, live, for us. I know you're both in good voice because I've heard you practicing. It's unadulterated, this piece. It's the barcarolle from the Tales of Hoffmann by Offenbach. Rebecca Knight and Karen England, the OperaBabes. Thank you both very much indeed.